Have you ever stopped to think about how we explore worlds we can't actually see? Well, today, we're jumping into two absolutely incredible stories. They're separated by 2,000 years, but they are linked by this single, timeless human quest, our drive to map the unknown. We're going to connect a top-secret Cold War mystery to a treasure that was pulled from an ancient shipwreck. Okay, let's get into it.
That's the big question, right? It doesn't matter if you're looking down into the crushing darkness of the ocean or up into the endlessness of space. The challenge is pretty much the same. So our first story, it begins in the deep.
All right, let's travel back in time to the middle of the 20th century. The Cold War is in full swing, and the deep ocean, well, it's become this silent, invisible battlefield. But this wasn't a war fought with torpedoes. Nope, this one was fought with sound.
Now, to really get what happened next, you gotta know a little something about marine bioacoustics. You see, in the ocean, your eyes aren't much use. But sound is everything. And low-frequency sound, we're talking below about 100 hertz, it can travel for just immense distances, thousands of kilometers with barely any energy loss. The ocean isn't silent at all, it's just buzzing with information.
So during the Cold War, the US Navy got wise to this. They set up this secret network of underwater microphones, hydrophones, codenamed Jezebel, and they placed them in what's known as the Deep Sound Channel. Just think of it as a superhighway for sound, about 1,000 meters down. The whole goal was simple: listen for the low-frequency hum of Soviet subs from clear across an entire ocean.
But the moment they switched the system on, they started hearing something else, something they just could not identify. It was powerful, it was low frequency, and it seemed to be everywhere. The Navy acousticians were totally stumped. They even gave it a nickname, the Jeze Monster. And for years, this thing was a genuine mystery, haunting their top-secret surveillance network.
So what was the culprit? Not some secret Soviet weapon. It was this, the fin whale. Turns out the monster was its 20 hertz call, one of the absolute lowest frequency sounds in the entire animal kingdom. A sound so powerful, it could literally ride that same deep sound channel across entire ocean basins. You see, in their hunt to map their enemy, they had accidentally mapped the migrations of giants. They opened up a whole new window into the biology of the deep.
Okay, so now let's leave the Cold War behind and rewind the clock way back, about 2 millennia. We're shifting from a mystery that was found in the deep to an even more incredible one that was pulled from it.
Picture this. It's the year 1900. A crew of Greek sponge divers is trying to find shelter from a nasty storm. But in doing so, they make a discovery that will literally rewrite history. Down on the sea floor, off the island of Antikythera, they find an ancient Roman shipwreck, just filled with treasures. But among all the marble statues and pottery, they find this: a green, corroded lump of bronze that they almost threw away as a piece of junk.
Thanks to some coins they found at the site, the wreck was dated to around 76 BC. That means this lump of metal had been sitting on the seafloor for 2,000 years. For decades, it just sat in a museum, a quiet little curiosity whose real secrets were just waiting for technology to catch up.
And in the second half of the 20th century, technology finally did. Scientists started taking a closer look. They used brand new tools like high-powered X-rays to peer inside the corroded chunks. And what they found? Well, it completely changed the history of technology as we know it.
This was the Antikythera mechanism, the world's very first known analog computer, and its capabilities were just mind-blowing. It could track the sun and the moon, it could predict eclipses with stunning accuracy, and it even kept a schedule for the Olympic Games. The level of mechanical genius in this one device was literally 1,000 years ahead of its time.
So if you look at the front, you've got this main dial that showed the position of the sun and the moon against the constellations of the zodiac. There was even a smaller, rotating little sphere inside that would show you the current phase of the moon. It was a complete model of the cosmos as they understood it, all in one box.
And the device itself is just this amazing testament to how knowledge was fused together in the ancient world. You see, all the inscriptions are in Greek, but the calendar it uses, that's Egyptian. The creators knew that the Egyptian 365-day solar calendar was way more regular and predictable than the different Greek lunar calendars. That made it the perfect foundation for their really complex astronomical math. It was a brilliant, practical choice that just shows how deeply they understood different scientific traditions.
But here's where it gets even cooler. In this incredible mix of science and culture, the device wasn't just about the stars. A smaller dial on the back actually tracked the 4-year cycle of the Panhellenic Games, and yes, that includes the Olympics. It literally connected the clockwork of the heavens to the rhythms of human life.
So the huge question remains,
How on earth was this level of engineering even possible back in the 2nd century BC? Well, the answer? It lies in the genius of its gears.
Inside that corroded box was what you could only call a symphony of bronze. We're talking at least 30, maybe even more, precision-cut gears with these tiny triangular teeth, all interlocking in these complex systems. I mean, these weren't just crude cogs. They were engineered to transmit mathematical ratios to turn complicated astronomical cycles into the simple rotation of a pointer.
And this was so much more than just clever engineering. This was science made real in bronze. The device actually modeled the most advanced astronomical theories of its day, including the moon's irregular orbit. It had this brilliant pin-and-slot mechanism, maybe inspired by the work of the great astronomer Hipparchus, that let the gears perfectly replicate the moon's speeding up and slowing down as it travels around the Earth.
But, okay, did they actually have the technology to make it? Oh, absolutely. This marble inscription, which is from 2 whole centuries before the mechanism was even built, describes making bronze parts for a temple using a lathe. It's solid proof that they had the machine tools and the skills to do this kind of precision work. The real genius was in putting it all together.
So, what do we have? We've got 2 stories, mysterious echoes from the deep and a complex computer from an ancient shipwreck. What in the world do they have in common? Turns out they share pretty much everything. The Cold War acoustician listening for submarines and the ancient Greek astronomer tracking the stars, they were on the exact same quest to map a world they couldn't see. One used sonar to decode the language of the ocean, the other used gears to decode the language of the cosmos. Both of them pushed the absolute limits of their technology to make the invisible visible.
The Antikythera mechanism was literally their universe in a box. It just makes you wonder, what artifacts from our time will be dug up 2,000 years from now? Will our descendants look at our AI, our genetic code, our maps of the cosmos, and see them the same way we see the Antikythera mechanism, as a mysterious, beautiful, and absolutely brilliant attempt to map the unseen?